Captain Han Dae-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship, the Resolute Dawn, and watched the stars pass by. His crew was quiet. They all knew what was coming. In a few hours they would reach Epsilon Station, a place where bad people did bad things. The captain had received a secret message 3 days ago. Someone was selling weapons there. Someone was also selling living beings. Slaves. The worst kind of crime in the galaxy. Dae-hyun was a tall man with dark hair that was starting to show gray at the sides. He had been a soldier once, many years ago. He had seen war. He had seen death. But he had also learned that sometimes the hardest thing to do was the right thing. That was why he was going to Epsilon Station today, not because anyone ordered him to, but because he could not ignore what was happening there. Lieutenant Park Ji-woo walked up beside him. She was younger than the captain, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been his second in command for 2 years now. She was good at her job, but she worried too much sometimes. "Captain, I need to say this one more time," Ji-woo said. Her voice was low. "We should not be doing this. We are a diplomatic ship. We are not soldiers anymore. If we interfere with that auction, we could start a war." Dae-hyun looked at her. He understood her fear. She was not wrong. What they were about to do was dangerous, but he had made his choice. "I know the risks," he said calmly, "but there is a Valkyr warrior being held as a slave on that station. You know what the Valkyr are. They are the strongest predators in the galaxy. And someone has put chains on one of them. That is wrong. We are going to fix it." Ji-woo was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. "Yes, Captain. I will prepare the team." The ship docked at Epsilon Station 2 hours later. The station was old and dirty. It floated in space like a piece of junk. But inside it was busy. Traders, criminals, and mercenaries walked through the halls. No one asked questions here. No one wanted to know your business. Dae-hyun and his crew wore simple clothes. They did not look like military people. Dr. Choi Hana, the ship's doctor, walked beside him. She was small and quiet, but she had a strong heart. Behind them came Engineer Kwon Minho, a young man who was very good with machines, and Lieutenant Ji-woo watched their backs. They followed the directions from the secret message, down 3 levels, through a dark corridor, to a large room where many people were gathered. The auction had already started. Dae-hyun felt sick when he saw what was happening. Aliens of different species stood in cages. They were being sold like objects. Some were crying. Some were too broken to feel anything anymore. The crowd of buyers laughed and made bids. No one cared about the pain they were causing. Then the main event began. Guards brought out a massive cage. Inside was something that made even the criminals step back. A Valkyr warrior. The creature was huge, 8 feet tall, covered in black scales that looked like armor. His claws were as long as knives. His eyes burned with an amber light that seemed to see into your soul. Even locked in a cage, even with metal restraints on his arms and legs, even with a neural inhibitor on his neck that controlled his mind, he looked terrifying. A reptilian alien walked onto the stage. His name was Vormak, and he was the one running this auction. He smiled with too many teeth. "Ladies and gentlemen," Vormak said, "today I present my finest piece. This is Karn, a warrior from the Bloodfang clan of the Valkyr. He has been trained to fight. He has been broken to obey. He is the perfect weapon. Watch." Vormak pressed a button. The cage opened. Combat drones flew into the room. They were armed with weapons. They attacked Karn from all sides. What happened next was brutal. Even with the inhibitor controlling him, even with chains on his body, Karn moved like lightning. He tore the drones apart with his bare claws. He moved with a grace that was beautiful and horrible at the same time. In less than a minute, all the drones were destroyed. The crowd cheered. Dae-hyun felt anger rise in his chest. This was not right. This creature was not an animal. He was a person, a warrior, and he was being treated like a thing. Vormak started the bidding. The numbers went higher and higher. Millions of credits. Dae-hyun knew he could not buy Karn's freedom. He did not have that much money. But he had something else. He had the law. "Stop," Dae-hyun shouted. His voice cut through the noise. Everyone turned to look at him. He walked forward. Ji-woo tried to grab his arm, but he kept moving. He stood in front of Vormak and looked him in the eyes. "You cannot sell this being," Dae-hyun said. "The Valkyr are protected by the Treaty of Astara. No member of their species can be enslaved. What you are doing is illegal." Vormak laughed. This one was a pirate. He attacked a merchant ship. Pirates have no rights. Do you have proof? Daehyun asked. Vormak's smile faded. Who are you to question me? I am Captain Han Daehyun of the Human Diplomatic Corps, and I am shutting this auction down. Chaos erupted. Vormak's guards pulled out weapons. The buyers started shouting. Some tried to run. Others prepared to fight. Daehyun's crew moved into position. Jiwoo had her weapon ready. Dr. Hana was already working on her tablet, trying to hack into the station's systems. Minho, Daehyun said quietly into his communicator. Now! Back on the Resolute Dawn, Engineer Minho pressed a button. An electromagnetic pulse shot out from the ship. It hit the station's security system. All the cameras went dark. All the locks stopped working. And, most importantly, the power to the neural inhibitors shut off. Karn felt the change immediately. The device on his neck that had been controlling his mind went silent. For 3 years he had been a prisoner. For 3 years he had been forced to fight, to kill, to obey. But now, for the first time in a very long time, his mind was his own again. The rage that had been building inside him for 3 years exploded. Karn broke his chains. The metal snapped like paper. He let out a roar that shook the entire room. Guards fired their weapons at him. The bullets bounced off his scales. He moved toward them like a force of nature. What followed was not a fight. It was a massacre. Karn tore through the guards like they were made of paper. His claws ripped through metal and flesh. His strength was beyond anything human. He was not just angry. He was fury itself. People screamed and ran. Vormak tried to escape, but Karn saw him. The Valkyr's amber eyes locked onto the slaver who had tortured him for years. Karn started walking toward him. Each step was heavy with purpose. And then Daehyun did something that no one expected. He stepped between Karn and Vormak. Everyone froze. Jiwoo shouted for the captain to move. Dr. Hana screamed. Even Vormak, the cruel slaver, looked shocked. Karn towered over the human. He was twice Daehyun's size. His claws were raised, dripping with blood. His breathing was like thunder. One strike and the human would be dead. It would be so easy. But Daehyun did not move. He stood perfectly still. He looked up at Karn, directly into those burning amber eyes. And he did not show any fear. You are free now, Daehyun said. His voice was calm and steady. Don't let him make you into a monster. That is what he wants. Don't give him that victory. The moment stretched. Time seemed to stop. Karn's claws trembled in the air. He could kill this human so easily. This small, weak creature who dared to stand in his way. But something in the human's eyes stopped him. There was no fear there. Only calm, only certainty. This human had freed him. This human was not afraid of him. This human was asking him to choose, slowly, very slowly. Karn lowered his claws. He took a step back. He was still breathing hard, still covered in blood, but he had made his choice. He would not be a monster. Not today. Vormak used the distraction to run. He disappeared into the chaos. Daehyun let him go. Right now, getting everyone out alive was more important. Can you walk? Daehyun asked Karn. Karn stared at him. This human had just saved his life and his soul. Why, come with us, Daehyun said. You are safe now. Karn did not understand. But he followed. What else could he do? His world had just changed completely. And it all began with a human who did not flinch. Part 2, the Resolute Dawn left Epsilon Station in a hurry. Alarms were ringing everywhere. Security forces were trying to lock down the docks. But Engineer Minho was faster. He had already hacked their systems. The ship pulled away and jumped into faster-than-light travel before anyone could stop them. On the bridge, Lieutenant Jiwoo was angry. Her face was red and her hands were shaking. Captain, what have we done? She said loudly. We just attacked a station. We freed slaves. Vormak will not let this go. He will hunt us. He has money and ships and mercenaries. We are one ship with a small crew. And now we have a Valkyr warrior on board who could kill us all if he wants to. Daehyun stood calmly at his position. He understood her anger. She was scared. They all were. But he had done what he believed was right. We saved someone who needed saving, he said quietly. That is what we do. That is who we are. I will not apologize for it. Jiwoo wanted to argue more, but she saw the look in his eyes. He had made his choice. She took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, Captain. What are your orders? Keep us moving. Change our route every few hours. Make sure no one can track us. and ask Dr. Hana to check on our guest." In the cargo bay, Dr. Choi Hana stood outside the door where they had put Karn. She was nervous. She had studied many alien species in her career. She knew about the Valkyr. They were apex predators, the strongest hunters in the galaxy. Their strength was incredible, their senses were sharp, and they had a warrior culture that valued honor and combat above everything else. And right now, one of them was inside that room. A wounded, angry, traumatized warrior who had been enslaved for 3 years. Hana opened the door slowly. Inside, Karn sat in the corner. He was huge even when sitting down. His black scales reflected the light. His amber eyes watched her carefully. He did not move, but she could feel the danger in the air. "Hello," Hana said softly. She kept her hands where he could see them. "My name is Dr. Choi Hana. I want to help you. You are hurt. Will you let me check your injuries?" Karn said nothing. He just stared at her. His breathing was slow and deep. After a long moment, he spoke. His voice was like grinding rocks. "Why?" "Why what?" Hana asked. "Why help?" Karn growled. "Why free, Karn? What do you want?" Hana understood. He had been used for so long. He thought everyone wanted something from him. The idea that someone would help him just because it was right was strange to him now. "We want nothing," she said. "You were being treated badly. We could not ignore that, so we helped. That is all." Karn's eyes narrowed. He did not believe her, but he also did not attack. That was something. "I will leave medical supplies here," Hana said. She put a bag on the floor near the door. "Use them if you want. I will come back tomorrow." She left before he could respond. Outside the door, she leaned against the wall and let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking. But she had done it. She had talked to him and survived. The next few days were difficult. Karn refused to stay in his quarters. He wandered through the ship at all hours. The crew was terrified. They would see him in a corridor and freeze. His massive form, his sharp claws, his predator eyes. Everything about him screamed danger. Engineer Minho saw him in the engine room once. The young man nearly had a heart attack. Karn had just stood there watching him work. Not threatening, just watching. It was somehow more frightening than if he had been angry. But Captain Dae-hyun was different. He did not avoid Karn. Instead, he established a routine. 3 times a day, he brought food to wherever Karn was. He would set it down, sit nearby, and eat his own meal. He never got too close, he never tried to force conversation. He just existed in the same space. At first, Karn ignored him, but after a few days, something changed. Karn began to watch the captain carefully. He noticed things. The way Dae-hyun moved with purpose. The way he spoke to his crew with respect. The way he stayed calm even when things went wrong. One morning, Dae-hyun was doing his meditation exercises in the observation deck. It was his routine. Every day before his shift, he would spend an hour in quiet meditation. It helped him stay centered. It helped him think clearly. He heard heavy footsteps behind him. He knew who it was without looking. Karn had been following him more often lately. The Valkyr would watch from a distance, curious about what the captain was doing. "You do not fear?" Karn said suddenly. It was the first time he had spoken to the captain directly. Dae-hyun opened his eyes, but did not turn around. "Fear is natural, but I do not let it control me. You are weak, small. I could break you." "Yes," Dae-hyun agreed. "You could. But you have not." "Why?" Karn was silent. He did not have an answer. Or maybe he did. But he did not want to say it. "Strength is not just about muscles," Dae-hyun said. "True strength is choosing what to do with your power. You chose not to kill Vormak when I stood between you. That took more strength than killing him would have." Karn growled low in his throat. "Valkyr are warriors. We are hunters. Strength is everything in my culture." "And what did your strength get you?" Dae-hyun asked quietly. 3 years in chains?" The words hit hard. Karn's claws flexed. For a moment, Dae-hyun thought he had pushed too far. But then Karn sat down heavily. The floor shook with his weight. "I was hunting slavers," Karn said. His voice was rough with old pain. "They raided a colony, took children. I tracked them, found their ship, but there were too many. They used weapons I had never seen, weapons that hurt the mind. They took me. Vormak took me." Dae-hyun turned to look at him. "You were trying to save people. That is honorable." "I failed." "No, you fought. You tried. That is not failure. Failure is not trying at all." They sat in silence for a while. It was the most peaceful moment Karn had experienced in 3 years. The ship hummed around them. Stars passed by outside the window. And for the first time since his capture, Karn felt something other than rage or pain. He felt something like hope. The alarm shattered the peace. Red lights flashed throughout the ship. Jiwoo's voice came over the speakers. "Captain, to the bridge. We have multiple ships approaching fast. They are Vormak's mercenaries. They found us." Dae-hyun ran to the bridge. Karn followed. On the main screen, they could see 5 ships closing in. They were heavily armed. The Resolute Dawn was a diplomatic vessel. It had some weapons, but not enough to fight 5 mercenary ships. "How did they find us?" Dae-hyun demanded. "I do not know," Jiwoo said. "We changed our route multiple times. They should not have been able to track us." "They want me," Karn said from behind them. Everyone turned. The Valkyr stood in the doorway, his massive form filling the space. "Vormak wants his property back. Give me to them. Save yourselves." "No," Dae-hyun said immediately. "Captain, be reasonable," Jiwoo said urgently. "We cannot win this fight. If we surrender him, maybe they will let us go." "I said no," Dae-hyun repeated, his voice harder now. "We do not abandon people. We do not give up. Minho, can you give us more speed?" "I will try, Captain," the engineer's voice came through the communicator. "But I can only give you maybe 10% more. It will not be enough." The first missile hit their shields. The ship rocked violently. Sparks flew from a control panel. More missiles were coming. "Shields at 60%, Jiwoo reported. "We cannot take many more hits like that." Dae-hyun's mind raced. They needed help. But they were in the middle of nowhere. No one would reach them in time. He was trying to think of a solution when he heard a new alarm. "Boarding craft detected," Jiwoo said, her voice tight with fear. "They are attaching to our hull. They are cutting through." Karn's eyes burned with amber fire. He turned and ran from the bridge. Dae-hyun knew exactly where he was going. The breach point, where the mercenaries would come through. And for the first time in 3 years, Karn was not being forced to fight. He was choosing to fight. He was choosing to protect the people who had protected him. He was choosing to be a warrior again, not a weapon. The real battle was about to begin. Karn reached the breach point just as the mercenaries cut through the hull. Metal screamed and fell away. Smoke poured into the corridor. Through the hole came armed soldiers wearing heavy armor and carrying plasma rifles. They expected to find scared humans running away. Instead, they found death waiting for them. Karn was on them before they could react. He moved like lightning despite his size. His claws tore through armor like it was paper. He grabbed one mercenary and threw him back through the hole into space. Another tried to shoot him. Karn caught the rifle with one hand, crushed it, and then crushed the soldier too. But this time was different from the arena. In the arena, he had been controlled, forced to fight like an animal. Now he was in control. Every movement was precise. Every strike was calculated. He was not just killing, he was protecting. And that made all the difference. More mercenaries pushed through. They fired their weapons. Karn's scales deflected most of the shots, but some got through. He felt pain. Blood ran down his side. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Behind him was the crew that had saved him. The people who had given him back his freedom. His honor demanded he protect them. Captain Dae-hyun arrived with a squad of armed crew members. He saw the carnage. Bodies everywhere. Karn standing in the middle of it all, wounded but still fighting. More mercenaries were trying to push through the breach. "Cover him!" Dae-hyun shouted. His crew opened fire, giving Karn support. Together, Human weapons and Valkyr claws drove the mercenaries back. After a few more minutes, the attackers retreated. The breach was sealed with emergency panels. Karn leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His chest heaved. Blood dripped from several wounds. But he was alive. And more importantly, the ship was safe. The crew was safe. Dae-hyun walked up to him slowly. Karn turned his amber eyes toward the captain. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Then Karn spoke, his voice rough but clear. "Your ship. I defend," Dae-hyun nodded. "Thank you. Now let us get you to the medical bay. You are hurt." This time Karn did not argue. He followed the captain to where Dr. Hana was waiting. The doctor worked quickly, cleaning his wounds and patching him up. Karn sat very still, watching her work. She was so small compared to him, so fragile, but her hands were steady and her eyes were focused. She cared about helping him. He could see that now. "You fight well," Hana said as she worked, "but you take too many risks. You could have died." "Death in battle is honorable," Karn replied. "Living is more honorable," she said firmly. "What good is a dead warrior?" Karn was surprised by her words, but he found himself agreeing. Maybe she was right. Maybe he had been so ready to die because part of him had died in those 3 years of slavery. But now something was waking up inside him, something he thought he had lost forever. The ship limped to a hidden repair station 2 days later. It was in neutral space, far from any major routes. Captain Dae-hyun had sent messages ahead. They would need major repairs. But more importantly, they needed help. An alien diplomat met them at the station. Her name was Ambassador Thelaris. She was an insectoid being with multiple eyes and delicate wings. She represented several species, including the Valkyr Confederacy. When she first saw Dae-hyun, her mandibles clicked with displeasure. "Captain, do you understand what you have done?" she said. Her voice buzzed with multiple tones. "You interfered with internal affairs. You attacked a station. You freed prisoners without authority. The Valkyr Confederacy could see this as an insult. You had no right to touch one of their warriors." "I had every right," Dae-hyun replied calmly. "He was being held as a slave. That violates the Treaty of Astara. I was enforcing the law. The law is complex. You should have waited for proper authorities." "He did not have time to wait," Dae-hyun said. "None of those slaves did. Sometimes waiting is the same as doing nothing." Thelaris was about to argue more when Karn entered the room. The ambassador stopped talking immediately. Her multiple eyes focused on the Valkyr warrior. She recognized his clan markings. She knew who he was. "Karn of the Bloodfang clan," she said quietly. "We thought you were dead. Your clan has mourned you for 3 years." "I am not dead," Karn said, "because of this human. He freed me. He risked his life and his ship for me. He asked for nothing in return." Thelaris looked between Karn and Dae-hyun. Something in her understanding shifted. She had been angry at the human for breaking protocols. But now she saw the truth. This was not about politics or laws. This was about honor, and honor was something the Valkyr valued above everything. "I can arrange transport back to Valkyr space," Thelaris said to Karn. "Your family will want to see you. Your clan will celebrate your return." Karn was silent for a long time. Everyone expected him to say yes immediately. Any warrior would want to go home after being lost for so long. But Karn looked at Captain Dae-hyun. He looked at the crew who had risked everything for him. "I have a life debt," Karn said finally. "This human saved me. Not just my body, my soul. I was becoming a monster. He showed me I could still choose. In Valkyr culture, such a debt must be repaid." Thelaris nodded slowly. "Life debts are sacred, but how will you repay it?" Karn turned to Dae-hyun. "Let me fight with you. Let me stand beside you. Until the debt is paid, until Vormak is stopped." "You do not owe me anything," Dae-hyun said. "You are free. You can go home." "I know I am free," Karn replied. "That is why I choose to stay. Not because I must. Because I want to." Dae-hyun smiled slightly. "Then you are welcome to stay. But I do not want you as a weapon or a tool. I want you as a member of my crew. As an equal. Can you accept that?" Karn's eyes widened. In all his life, no one had ever asked him to be an equal. In Valkyr society, there were always ranks. Always hierarchies. The strong commanded the weak. But this human was offering something different: partnership, respect. "Yes," Karn said. "I accept." Over the next few weeks, the ship was repaired. The crew adjusted to having Karn among them. It was strange at first. But slowly they began to see him not as a monster, but as a person. He had habits. He had preferences. He had emotions. Lieutenant Jiwoo started training with him. She was skeptical at first, but Karn was patient. He taught her Valkyr combat techniques. She taught him human tactics. They learned from each other, and slowly, respect grew between them. Engineer Minho lost his fear after Karn helped him repair a damaged power conduit. The Valkyr's strength made the job easy. Minho made a joke, and to everyone's surprise, Karn laughed. It was a rough sound, but it was genuine. They realized he had a sense of humor. Dr. Hana continued her treatments. She learned that Karn had been given chemical drugs to make him more aggressive. His neural pathways had been damaged, but she was fixing it slowly and carefully. And as she worked, Karn told her stories. Stories about his home, about his clan, about the warrior he used to be. "My people are not monsters," he said one day. "We hunt, we fight, but we have honor. We protect the weak. We value courage. What Vormak did to me was wrong, because he made me into something I am not. He tried to erase who I am, but he failed," Hana said. "You are still you, and you are healing." One evening, Captain Daehyun found Karn in the observation deck. The Valkyr was staring out at the stars. He looked peaceful, not the wounded, angry creature from the station, but someone finding his way back to himself. "Can I ask you something?" Daehyun said as he sat down. "Yes," Karn replied. "That day on the station, when I stood in your way, you could have killed me so easily. Why did you stop?" Karn thought for a long moment. "Your eyes," he said finally. "You looked at me like I was a person. Not a weapon, not a monster, a person. No one had looked at me like that in 3 years. I remembered who I was. A warrior of the Bloodfang clan. We do not kill those who show us respect. In my culture," Karn continued, "we have a word, Karash. It means someone who faces danger without fear, but also without foolishness. Someone whose courage comes from the heart, not from pride. You have Karash, Captain. You are more of a warrior than many Valkyr I have known." Daehyun was touched by the words. "Thank you. That means a lot coming from you." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different cultures, but united by respect and honor. United by a bond that was growing stronger every day. The peace was broken by an emergency message. Daehyun's communicator beeped urgently. He answered it. Ambassador Thelaris's face appeared on the screen. She looked worried. "Captain, we have a problem. Vormak has put out a massive bounty on you and your crew. He has hired an entire mercenary fleet, and we have intelligence that he is planning something worse. He has a hidden base where he keeps dozens of slaves. He is going to execute them all and flee before authorities can stop him." Daehyun's face hardened. "Where is this base?" "I will send you the coordinates," Thelaris said. "But Captain, you cannot do this alone. You need backup. Wait for the fleet." "How long will that take?" Daehyun asked. 3 days, maybe 4. "Those people do not have 3 days," Daehyun said. He looked at Karn. The Valkyr nodded once, understanding what the captain was thinking. "We are going now," Daehyun said. "Alone if we have to." "Captain, that is suicide," Thelaris protested. "Maybe," Daehyun agreed. "But it is the right thing to do. And sometimes that is all that matters." The asteroid base floated in the darkness of space like a sleeping beast. It was hidden inside a dense cloud of space debris, invisible to most scanners, perfect for hiding illegal activities, perfect for keeping slaves where no one would find them. The Resolute Dawn moved slowly through the debris field. On the bridge, Captain Daehyun studied the screens carefully. They had one chance to do this right. One chance to save those people before Vormak killed them all. "I am reading heavy defenses," Lieutenant Jiwoo reported. "Automated turrets, shield generators, and at least 3 patrol ships. Captain, we are seriously outgunned." "I know," Daehyun said calmly. "That is why we are not going to fight them head-on." "Minho, what do you have for me?" Engineer Minho looked up from his console with a tired smile. He had been working for hours. "I can create a false signal. Make it look like we are a supply ship. It might get us close enough to the base before they realize what we really are." "Good, do it," Daehyun ordered. He turned to where Karn stood in the corner of the bridge. The Valkyr warrior was quiet, but his eyes burned with anticipation. "Are you ready?" Karn nodded. "I have waited 3 years for this moment. I am ready." The ship approached the base slowly. Minho's trick worked. The automated systems let them pass. They docked without anyone questioning them. But Daehyun knew this was the easy part. The hard part was coming. The boarding team gathered in the airlock. Daehyun, Jiwoo, Karn, and 6 armed crew members. Dr. Hana would stay on the ship with Minho and the rest of the crew. She had given them medical supplies and made them promise to be careful. None of them could promise that. The airlock opened. They moved into the base quickly and quietly. The corridors were dark and dirty. The air smelled bad. This place was not meant for living. It was meant for suffering. They followed the schematics that Thalaris had provided. The slave-holding area was deep inside the base. They would have to fight their way there. And they would have to fight their way out. The first guards they encountered never had a chance. Karn moved like a shadow despite his size. Before the guards could sound the alarm, he had disabled them. Silent, efficient, deadly. "You have gotten better at this," Jiwoo whispered. She had been watching him closely during their training sessions. He was not just strong, he was smart. He was learning human tactics and combining them with Valkyr instincts. "I learned from good teachers," Karn replied quietly. They reached the holding area without being detected. What they found there made even Karn stop and stare. Dozens of cages lined the walls. Inside were beings from many different species. Humans. Aliens Daehyun had never seen before. All of them looked broken. Starved. Hopeless. In one cage, Daehyun saw 3 young Valkyr. They were not as large as Karn, probably juveniles. They looked at him with the same amber eyes, but theirs had no fire in them. Only emptiness. Karn saw them too. Something inside him broke and reformed at the same time. These were his people, children of his species, and they had been treated like animals. "We are getting everyone out," Daehyun said firmly. "All of them. No one gets left behind." "Captain, we do not have room on the ship for all these people," Jiwoo protested. "Then we will make room," Daehyun said. "Start opening the cages, move fast. We do not have much time." The crew worked quickly to free the prisoners. Some could walk. Others had to be carried. Many were too scared to move at first. They had been prisoners for so long that freedom seemed like a trick. Karn approached the young Valkyr carefully. He spoke to them in their own language, words that Daehyun could not understand. But he saw the effect. The young one's eyes started to show life again. They stood up. They followed Karn. That was when the alarm started screaming. "They know we are here," Jiwoo said, checking her weapon. "We need to move now." "Get them to the ship," Daehyun ordered. "Karn and I will hold them off." "Captain, no." Jiwoo started to argue. "That is an order, Lieutenant," Daehyun said. "These people need you more than I do right now. Go." Jiwoo wanted to refuse, but she saw the look in his eyes. She saluted. "Yes, Captain. Do not die." "I will try my best," Daehyun said with a small smile. The crew started moving the freed slaves toward the exit. Daehyun and Karn took positions at the corridor entrance. They could hear footsteps coming. Many footsteps. Heavy weapons being prepared. "How many do you think?" Daehyun asked. "Too many," Karn replied. "But we only need to hold them for a few minutes." "We can do that." "Yes," Daehyun agreed. "We can." The first wave of guards came around the corner. Daehyun opened fire. His shots were precise, taking down 3 guards before they could react. Karn charged forward, his massive form crashing into the enemy line like a battering ram. They fought side by side, human precision and Valkyr power. Daehyun covered Karn's blind spots. Karn protected Daehyun from attacks he could not see. They moved together like they had been fighting together for years, not weeks. More guards came. The fighting became desperate. Daehyun took a hit to his shoulder. Pain exploded through him, but he kept firing. Karn was wounded too, blood running down his side. But neither of them stopped. They could not stop. Not yet. Then a voice cut through the chaos. It was cold and cruel and familiar. "Stop." Vormak stepped out from behind his guards. The reptilian slaver looked angry but also pleased, like he had been waiting for this moment. "Captain Daehyun," Vormak said with his too-many-teeth smile. "And my favorite pet." "How nice of you to come to me. You have saved me the trouble of hunting you down." "I am not your pet," Karn growled. The sound came from deep in his chest, full of rage and hatred. "No?" Vormak laughed. "You were broken. You were mine. You will always be mine. That is what you are. A weapon, a tool. Nothing more. You are wrong," Daehyun said. He stood despite his wound. "He is a warrior, a person, and you could never break what really matters." His spirit. His honor. Vormak's smile faded. Enough talk. Kill them both. But before the guards could move, Vormak added something else. He pulled out a small device. Actually, wait. I want to show you something first. He pressed a button. Deep in the base, explosives activated. The entire facility started shaking. Alarms of a different kind started screaming. Not security alarms. Self-destruct warnings. If I cannot have my operation, then no one can, Vormak said. This entire base will explode in 5 minutes. You can try to run, but you will not make it. None of you will. All those slaves you just freed? They will die too, and it will be your fault. He turned to leave. His guard started to follow, but Karn was faster. He moved with a speed that should not have been possible for something his size. He crossed the distance in seconds. Vormak turned just in time to see death coming for him. He tried to run. He tried to shoot. But nothing worked. Karn grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. For 3 years, Karn had dreamed of this moment. 3 years of pain and humiliation. Every instinct told him to kill, to tear this creature apart slowly, to make him suffer like Karn had suffered. But then he remembered Daehyun's words. Do not let him make you into a monster. That is what he wants. Karn looked into Vormak's terrified eyes. He spoke slowly, making sure every word was understood. You tried to break me. You tried to make me into a weapon with no mind, no soul, but you failed. I am still Karn of the Bloodfang clan. I am still a warrior who chooses his battles, and I choose not to kill you. Not because you deserve mercy, but because I am better than you. He threw Vormak against the wall. The slaver crumpled to the ground, unconscious but alive. Karn turned to Daehyun. We need to stop the explosion, he said. Daehyun nodded. He pressed his communicator. Minho, we have a problem. The base is going to explode. Can you stop it? The engineer's voice came back, sounding stressed. Maybe. If I can access the main control system. But Captain, I need more time. How much time? 3 minutes. At least, Daehyun looked at the timer on Vormak's device. 4 minutes left. It was going to be close. Very close. Do what you can, Daehyun said. We are coming to you. They ran. Daehyun's shoulder screamed with pain. Karn was limping from his wounds. But they pushed forward. Behind them, Vormak's guards had recovered and were chasing them. Ahead, the base was falling apart. They reached the ship with 1 minute left. Jiwoo and the crew were already loading the last of the freed slaves. Dr. Hana saw them and ran to help. She looked at their wounds and her face went pale. Get on board, she said. I will patch you up once we are away from here. Minho, Daehyun called out. Tell me you have good news. Almost there, Captain, the engineer replied. His fingers flew over his console. 30 seconds left. 20 seconds. 10. With 5 seconds remaining, Minho pressed the final button. The countdown stopped. The alarms went silent. The base was secure. Everyone let out a breath they did not know they were holding. They had done it. Against all odds, they had done it. Daehyun looked around the ship. Dozens of freed slaves sat in the cargo bay. They were alive. They were safe. And it was because his crew had been willing to risk everything. He looked at Karn. The Valkyr warrior looked tired but satisfied. He had faced his torturer and chosen mercy over revenge. He had proven that he was more than what Vormak had tried to make him. Good work, everyone, Daehyun said. Let us go home. As the Resolute Dawn pulled away from the asteroid base, none of them knew that their actions today would change everything. 3 weeks had passed since the raid on Vormak's base. The Resolute Dawn had become a temporary home for 47 freed slaves from 12 different species. Dr. Hana worked around the clock to treat their injuries, both physical and mental. Engineer Minho had converted the cargo bay into living quarters. It was crowded and uncomfortable, but it was safe. That was what mattered. The ship was now docked at a major station where proper authorities had taken control. Vormak was in custody awaiting trial. His criminal empire was being dismantled piece by piece. The galaxy was a little bit safer because of what Captain Daehyun and his crew had done. But today was not about Vormak. Today was about something else. Something important. A Valkyr ship had arrived at the station. It was massive, built for war, covered in the symbols of the Bloodfang clan. The clan leaders had come to take their lost warriors home. They had come to see Karn, who they thought had been dead for 3 years. Daehyun stood in the docking bay with his crew. They wore their dress uniforms, clean and formal. This was an important meeting. Relations between humans and Valkyr had always been complicated. The Valkyr respected strength. They valued honor. But they were also proud and could be dangerous if insulted. The airlock opened. 5 Valkyr warriors entered. They were all large and powerful, but one stood out. He was bigger than the others, his scales a deep red instead of black. Scars covered his body, each one a story of battle. His amber eyes swept over the humans with a mixture of curiosity and judgment. Ambassador Thelaris was there too, standing between the two groups. She spoke in her buzzing voice. Captain Daehyun, this is war leader Tal of the Bloodfang clan. He has come to retrieve his warriors and to meet the human who freed them. The war leader stepped forward. He was so tall that Daehyun had to look up to meet his eyes. For a long moment they studied each other. Then Tal spoke. His voice was deep and powerful. You are small, Tal said. It was not an insult. Just an observation. Yet you faced slavers. You freed my clan members. You saved warriors whom many thought were lost. Why? Daehyun met his gaze without fear. Because it was the right thing to do. Because no being should be enslaved. And because courage is not about size. It is about choice. Tal's eyes narrowed slightly. Then, surprisingly, he made a sound that might have been approval. You speak truth. Where is Karn? I wish to see him. As if summoned, Karn entered the docking bay. He had cleaned himself and prepared for this meeting. The young Valkyr warriors he had rescued followed behind him. When they saw the war leader, they immediately showed respect, lowering their heads. But Karn walked straight to Tal. The two warriors faced each other. Then Karn did something that made everyone hold their breath. He went down on one knee, not in submission, but in the formal greeting of a warrior to his leader. War leader, Karn said, I have returned. Tal reached down and pulled Karn to his feet. Stand, brother. You kneel to no one. You are a warrior of the Bloodfang. You have survived what would have broken lesser beings. Your clan is proud. Karn's eyes showed emotion, relief, joy, but also something else. Sadness, maybe. He turned to look at Daehyun and the crew of the Resolute Dawn. These humans saved me, Karn said. Not just my body. They saved who I am. They gave me back my honor. I owe them a life debt that can never be fully repaid. Tal looked at the human crew with new eyes. He saw Lieutenant Jiwoo standing straight and proud despite her small size. He saw Dr. Hana, who had healed warriors she had never met. He saw Engineer Minho, young but brave. And he saw Captain Daehyun, the one who had started all of this with a simple choice to do what was right. A life debt is sacred among our people, Tal said. It must be honored. Karn, what do you wish to do? Karn was silent for a moment. Everyone expected him to say he wanted to go home. To return to his clan and his world. To leave these humans behind and resume his old life. But Karn surprised them all. I wish to stay with Captain Daehyun, he said. Not as a slave. Not as a servant, but as a warrior who has found his place. These humans have taught me that strength comes in many forms. They have shown me that honor is not just about battle. I wish to learn more. I wish to stand beside them. The war leader looked shocked. This was not a small thing. For a Valkyr to choose to stay with another species was almost unheard of. But Tal was wise. He understood what Karn was really saying. This was not about leaving his people. This was about growing. About becoming more than he was. If this is your choice, Tal said slowly, then the clan will honor it. But there is a condition. Captain Daehyun must be formally recognized by our people. He must be named a friend of the Bloodfang clan. Only then can you remain with him without losing your honor. Daehyun stepped forward. What does this mean? This friendship? It means you are under our protection, Tal explained. Any who harm you harm the clan. It means your words carry weight among our people. It means you have proven yourself worthy of respect. It is an honor we give to very few. Most who receive it are other Valkyr. You would be the first human in 50 years to bear this title. Daehyun looked at his crew. Jiwoo nodded. Dr. Hana smiled. Engineer Minho gave him a thumbs up. Even the freed slaves who were watching seemed excited. This was bigger than one person. This was about building bridges between species, I accept, Daehyun said. With gratitude and humility. What happened next would be talked about for years. War leader Tal called all the Valkyr warriors together. They formed a circle around Daehyun. The ceremony was old, dating back thousands of years in Valkyr history. Karn stood before Daehyun. He spoke in his own language first, words that were ancient and powerful. Then he translated, "By blood and honor, by claw and courage, I name you friend. I name you brother. What is mine is yours. My strength is your shield. My clan is your family. From this day until my last breath, I stand with you." Then Karn did something that made everyone watching freeze. He lowered his head. He placed his right hand, claws and all, over Daehyun's heart. It was the ultimate sign of respect among Valkyr. The gesture of a warrior acknowledging another warrior as his equal. More than equal. As someone worth protecting with his life, it was a bow. Not of submission, but of honor. A predator, an apex hunter, one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, bowing to a human who had shown him that true strength was not about violence. It was about choosing to do right even when it was hard. Daehyun felt the weight of the moment. He placed his own hand over Karn's heart. "And I stand with you, brother. Always." The other Valkyr warriors made a sound like thunder. It was approval, celebration. They struck their chests in unison, a traditional warrior salute. Even war leader Tal looked impressed. Ambassador Thelaris watched all of this with her multiple eyes. She had been skeptical of humans at first. But now she understood something important. Humans had a gift. They could see potential in others. They could build bridges where others saw only walls. This was not weakness. This was strength of a different kind. The ceremony ended. The Valkyr warriors would return to their ship and take the young ones home. But Karn would stay. He had made his choice, and his clan had honored it. As the Valkyr departed, war leader Tal stopped at the airlock. He turned back to Daehyun. "Captain," Tal said, "you humans are strange. You are weak in body but strong in spirit. You face danger with courage but also with wisdom. My people have much to learn from you. Perhaps we have been too focused on physical strength and forgotten other kinds of power. And we have much to learn from the Valkyr," Daehyun replied. "About honor, about courage, about standing by your principles. Perhaps we can teach each other." Tal nodded. "Perhaps. I think this is the beginning of something new. Something good." He paused. "Take care of our brother, and know that the Bloodfang clan stands with you. If you ever need us, we will come." After the Valkyr ship left, the crew of the Resolute Dawn gathered in the common area. They were tired. The last few weeks had been hard, but they were also proud. They had done something that mattered. Lieutenant Jiwoo raised a glass. "To the captain, for having the courage to do what was right even when it was dangerous. To the crew," Daehyun replied, "for following me even when I asked the impossible. To Karn," Dr. Hana added, "for showing us that anyone can change. Anyone can heal." They all drank together. Human and Valkyr, different species, different worlds, but united by something stronger than biology. United by respect, by friendship, by honor. Later that night, Daehyun found Karn on the observation deck. The Valkyr warrior was looking out at the stars, his expression peaceful. It was hard to believe this was the same creature who had been a rage-filled slave just weeks ago. "Do you regret your choice?" Daehyun asked. "You could be on your way home right now." Karn was quiet for a moment. "Home is not just a place. It is where you belong, where you are valued, where you can be yourself. I spent 3 years in chains on my homeworld space, but I was not home. I was in hell." He turned to look at Daehyun. "Here on this ship with this crew, I am home. You see me as a person, not a weapon, not a monster, just me. That is worth more than any planet." Daehyun smiled. "I am glad you feel that way, because we are better with you here. You make us stronger, not just because of your claws, because of who you are." "What will we do now?" Karn asked.